Welcome to our lesson for today. We're going to be talking about light. So the theme today is light. The skill that we're going to be working on is enhancing our ability to see light and shadow. And there's a word I have for you. The vocabulary word for the day is, the first part is chiro, and then the second part is scuro. Chiaroscuro. The light and shadow in Italian. And I'm going to, so now that we know how to pronounce this wonderful word, it means dramatic lighting, high contrast between light and dark. I call this Rembrandt lighting, and I have some pictures to show you. The Dutch masters, they also use this kind of lighting in movies and in Broadway plays, and Schindler's List, for instance, is very dramatic lighting. And one of the examples I have is a Rembrandt Jesus teaching. It's chiaroscuro. Light and dark. And then the other one is pears, because we're going to be drawing and painting pears today. So I want you to see this one. And so I was happy to see that Rembrandt was painting pears back in 1600. So I want to talk about the emphasis of painting still life, the benefit of painting still life in dramatic lighting, because it's a very good way for us to improve our painting skills. Great artists have always painted still life, so I love it. I want you to appreciate it as much as I do. In the 1600s, Rembrandt and Vermeer, and all throughout history, the French Chardin, Delacroix, and then into the Impressionists, Renoir, Monet, Cézanne, and even Picasso were into highlight and shadow as a way of showing three-dimensional form. So that's the purpose of it. Today we have two lessons in learning to see, a value study, first of all, the gradation of light to dark. Here is the white to black. So this is only 4 values: white, a little darker, much darker, and black. But when you're actually drawing from life, you will see that there's a whole range of value from light to dark. So it's actually shading that you're going to love doing. The gradation of light to dark and the value, you shade it, you begin shading with your pencil. And this is called painting in black and white. And it's a very good way. The goal, I'll show you how to do it. The goal in the exercise you'll see, the goal, first you draw it on, and then the goal is to eliminate the line. So you have the dark come right up to the shadow. In this case, here's a lost edge over here. So you'll see in the demonstration. Please observe when you're trying to shade down to your line, observe which side of the line is darker, and then shade it up to the line. That will help you to eliminate the line. So you want to be left. Your goal is to have nothing left except light against dark, dark against light. And if you actually see a line, you can leave it like in the accents under they're very narrow shadows, but they appear to be lines. You can keep those, but all the rest of them, if you don't see them, your goal is to eliminate them. This is a tool for discerning specific value. They call it squinting, but you don't really go like this, because then you can't see much of anything. But the idea is to close one eye and look at things that way to discern the value, how light or how dark it is next to the thing that it's next to. And the reason is what's happening when you close one eye, you're eliminating your depth perception, which is causes you to see things in flat shapes, which is what artists work with. That's all we have. We have flat shapes and we have shading, light and dark. So that's what it allows you to see more in terms of flat shapes, and each one of those shapes has a different value. So the second thing, after we do, I'm going to demonstrate doing a value study, and I want you to do this at home. And then the other thing we're going to do today is a monochromatic color scheme painting, which means that we're using one color in a gradation of value from light to dark. I want to help. Sometimes there's when the value is very close, you'll begin to notice some values are great contrast between light and dark, and then some of the values are very close. And when that happens, it creates a passageway from like the background to the foreground. It keeps the eye moving around your composition, and it's called a passageway. It's a way, it's like a little door to get from one place to the other. I want you to use the brush in this monochromatic color scheme painting. You can use the brush just like you did the pencil to do the shading. From white to dark, to darker, to very dark, almost black. And this will help you see more and more subtle variations. Remember, the more you look, the more you observe something, the more you will see. And that's my theme, because artists learn to see things that other people don't see. So come and see my demonstration. Welcome to my studio and the demonstration of a value study. First of all, I need to find my thumbnail sketch, remember? I use my viewfinder, come back and forth, and I find a wonderful composition. And then I just think about where the three main objects are placed. A thumbnail sketch is literally a little scribble drawing, but that helps me to see how I'm going to place them. Something like that, a little bit of space between them. But mostly I want to get the three forms in right relation to each other, and the table, the end of the cloth, not the tabletop actually, but the end of the cloth. And then the shadows, the shapes of the shadows are equally important to the shapes of the objects. And they are definitely shapes, they're not just little scribbles like that. The shadow is a definite shape. That's what we're looking for in here. And that's about it for a thumbnail sketch. A thumbnail sketch is just a bunch of lines that help you to look at it and think about how beautiful it's going to be when it's framed. So we're done with that. And then I want to do the value study. And what I'm doing now is trying to get them in the right place before I start. And one way to approach something like this is that you think about these are three forms. They're pretty much the same in different positions, but they're all about the same width and the same height. And I had such a good time finding the circles in here. And they're all about the same size. So start with that one. This one is behind that one, but it's still the same size. And also look at the place where they come. Like this one is very close. This one's a little farther back, the bottom of them, and this one's farther back still. So always look for that. The circles are all the same size. The placement of the bottom is not the same. It looks as if the top of them are all about the same. Now when you put a perfectly straight line across here, and you can see how they all come to be about the same. The one in the middle is slightly lower, but not much. So we have a little line there that shows that these are all the same. Even though they have bottoms, the bottoms are different, the tops are all about the same. All right? So I just want you to see how I get started. And then once I have my they look like little snowmen, don't they? And then I can go ahead and do the contour drawing. It's easy to do a contour drawing once you have your little snowmen in place. And the beautiful shapes. And Just think about how beautiful the shapes are and look at them when you're doing it. And there's a lovely little cast shadow here on there. You see it right there, there's a cast shadow. And then this one comes from behind it. Now I'm looking at the negative space. This is the negative space right here, a triangle. I'm looking for the negative space. And I'm going to just draw the form around my two circles. Like that. And then I'm going to do this one. I'm noticing the distance between them. I'm having to make it a little smaller than I see there, but it's fine. So that's how I would get started. It takes a while to get them in the position on the paper that you've seen in your thumbnail sketch, okay? All right? I have put some lines around my circle, my little snowman. And also when you're drawing a lot of things that have lots of curves in them, it's good to look for the straight lines. Like right here, the very straight line. This is a straight line. This is pretty straight too. So they're curved, but look for the straight line. This one's very curved. This one's really curved. All of this is pretty curved. And then look for the lines on the shadows. This will be the line where we keep our shadow. We plan it ahead. And notice the shadow on the table. This shadow comes down and kind of picks right up on the shadow on the table. And notice how it echoes the beautiful shape of the pears. And it's a lot of little like waves running around here. Okay, so now I'm going to start my value thing. And the first thing, I'm shading some whites, like we do in watercolor. Here's the white there, and there's a little bit of white here, maybe. I can always take it out later, but let's get started. First, I'm going to put in, with the side of my pencil, very quickly, I'm going to fill in some of the definite shadow shapes. And what I'm trying to do is get rid of the outlining. See how the shading comes right up to the line? This is such a great trick. So automatically you have form just by getting rid of your outlining. So that is the shadow on that one. And then let's take that shadow and extend it across into the shadow on the table. Go back and forth really fast. And get rid of the edges, get rid of the outlining. Bring the shadow value right up to the edge of the line. And then I'm going to we're doing the obvious thing first. We're doing the shadows on the fruit and the shadows. I never really figure out exactly what that was. This one's a little vague in here. This isn't as crisp as the others, so it's a gradual gradation. But it is much darker than this one, so think about that. If you're going to get rid of the line, it has to come up to the line, it has to be dark enough so that you do not see the line, okay? And then come down here, and I see how that one is. And one way to see the value is to close one eye and just look at the thing with one eye. That helps to focus on the flat things like value and shape. But see, that value is much darker than this one. So this one isn't pure white, though, it's light. But be careful not to get it too dark. Keep it kind of light, because it is darker than the white highlight. There's a white highlight right here. With the white highlight there. So I'm going to make them kind of a medium value, but the dark ones are the ones we're focusing on right now. The dark value, if you just get those in, you're really going to see a lot of progress really fast. So get your dark shadow on the side of the pear, and remember, we're getting rid of the outlining. That tells us that we are making it dark enough. Back and forth. I did this cross-hatching thing in high school. I just loved it. So see how very dark that side is? It's really, really dark. Let's make it even darker than, and this one is also very dark. This is pretty dark, but this is This is darker than that, and that has to be medium, so this has to be darker. See how you're making comparisons? Very dark there. Don't be afraid to make it dark. You can always erase it if it gets too dark. All right. This shadow over here. Now see how the shadow is kind of, it's almost, if you squint your eyes like I suggested, the shadow is almost the same value as the pear right there. It's a little darker. Pear is a little darker. So keep making adjustments. You can change the shape a bit too if you want. We'll use the eraser in a minute to do some of these things that you don't like. We can get rid of some things. Okay, but this is the main structure of the drawing. The little accents in the stems, you can put those in really dark. Oh, very, very dark right there. Okay. Then the background, one way to get rid of the line is to put the dark in the background that comes right up to the edge of the fruit and right up to the edge of the cloth. So that's why you need a nice dark pencil. If you just have a number 2 pencil, that's okay. Just push harder. This is a 6B. Okay, so this is going to be really, now notice how the background is even darker than the pear, I think. I'm not sure. I've changed things around a bit here, so I'm not sure about that. You get the idea, right? I think it's quite fun myself. Have it come right up. And cross-hatching all different ways. Just get it on there any old way you can. Oh, good. I'm almost done. I want to keep this short and sweet, so I won't have time to piddle around with it. You can make your adjustments. Go really fast. I promise you this will be fun. So I love doing these. I find them very relaxing, nurturing, and the results are amazing. If you just keep squinting, that means close one eye and look at the relative value of things. You ask yourself, what is it lighter against something dark? This is darker than this. And you decide which is darker, this or that. This may be a little darker. And then you put a few accents in it. The accents are the shadows under them. And that's it. We're done. We're just about done. I think that's it. What do you think? There's 3 things in watching the demo that I did not see. So that shows you that the more you look, the more you will see. That's what keeps you doing this. Right here, where is it? Oh, back here, is you're going to have to get rid of this line here. See this line right here? So this is slightly darker than that. So I'm going to lighten this, a light wash, not too dark, but just enough to get rid of the line. That's what I'm trying to do. I didn't really do it yet, but you see what I'm getting at. You take this, erase that line by getting this shadow coming up to the line, okay? Down here, oh, here there's a line too. So you have to decide which side is lighter and which side is darker. And here that I just looked at, I forgot which one it was now. I think that the pear is slightly darker than the cloth. Yeah, it is. Here the pear is lighter than the cloth. Here the pear is darker than the cloth. So you come in up to the line, try to get rid of the line, like that. But not too dark, because it's not. It's almost white, but there's no line there. So there's some places like right in here. What was it? I think it's here. Here there is really a lost edge. You can hardly tell. The shadow comes into the pear, and you can hardly see a line, but there is one. But it's very, very subtle. It's really, really close in value. One other thing, I noticed that the shadow is lighter as it comes up. So you can either darken this or lighten that. I could maybe. Oh, and I want you to see how to use the eraser, the kneaded eraser. You can just go back and Wish I had something heavy to put this on. Hold on. I need something heavy so I can press against it. Okay, like right here, it's lighter up here. So I just erase it a little bit. Okay. I'm doing pretty good inside and backwards, outside, blah, blah. Okay, see how the shadow gets lighter as it goes up? So those are the three things I didn't see. So I want you to spend 20 minutes. The pair, the pair against the background and all the stuff on the side of it is just absolutely gorgeous. If you even just cover up, just look at the one pair on the left and just gaze at the beauty of it. It's amazing. Not even the color, just the value of it. The top of the pear is dark against the medium background. As it comes down, it's dark against light. As it comes down, it's dark against medium. And then it almost loses an edge. They're almost exactly the same value. And then as it comes down to the shadow, the pear is slightly lighter than the shadow. So those are the kinds of gradation of value that you're looking for. So have fun, 15 minutes. I'll see you in 15 minutes. Now we're going to take our drawing, our value study, and I've drawn a couple of pairs on the watercolor paper so that you can watch me paint it in a monochromatic color scheme. That means that I'm only going to paint everything in one color of different values. So I'm going to block in. I'm going to take my time, very slowly and thoughtfully. I may have to go back over it, but for now I'm going to try to keep the edges soft. Where's my, oh, here it is. Watercolor is a messy medium, you can see that. I'm going back over it again because I want the edges to be soft. Okay, so I take all the water out and all the paint out, and really quickly I hit this edge here so that it will be soft. As you see, it is. In fact, I might let some of that bleed over into here a little bit. That's good. Yeah, so this isn't, the only thing that's white is the paper, or the cloth in this case. So I need to come up here and make this a different value. I'm going to save a little highlight there. So right now I have medium and dark value, and the paper is white. Let's add the shadow at the same time. The trick is to get enough paint on the brush. So I'm using the side of the brush, and I'm going to put the shadow. The shadow is kind of attached to the pear. You see that? But notice that the that the shadow is a little lighter back here. So I'm going to lift it off, just a little bit. Be sure I don't have too much water on the brush, or it will bleed. But if I just have hardly any water on the brush, I can lift that, and that will be a little lighter value than the bottom. I soften the edge a little bit like that. So that's a good first start. And then let's use a little bit of the very dark in here for the stem. You don't need to wait. You can just put those things in right now. This is a little darker, so I'm going to, but not too dark. Oh yes, it is. The pear is darker than the background. So this is where we start to get our values going that we did in our value study. You squint, you close one eye, and you look at the edges, and you see which is darker. the object in this case, or the shadow. The shadow seems darker down here, doesn't it? This will make it easier for you than trying to do it in color, at least for now. Let's go ahead, and since the background is just as important as the subject, let's notice how on this side it's really dark. Let me get it really dark here. So if I want it dark, I have to use more color to make it really dark. Because watercolor, the more paint you have, the darker it is. So notice how that is really dark there against this. But as it comes around here, the background is lighter than the pear. So I have to make that adjustment. So let's see, I'm using the side of the brush so I can move it around better. And as I come over here, I want to lighten it up a little bit. I want this to be lighter than the pear. So that's what I was getting at with the value study. You see how it's the same? This background is lighter than the shadow on the pear. Over here, it's darker than this, a whole lot darker than this. There's sort of a lost edge in here, but I'm going to just try to stick with one for now and do a really good job of one pear and one background. Oh, I need to soften that edge. Hold on. Let's soften that edge before we. When you have edges like that, you want to get rid of them. Okay, so now I can soften this edge really easy. See? Really easy. So let's think about these values right here before we quit. There is a cast shadow back here I want to get in. So this is a cast shadow. And this is dark right here. And this is dark right up here. I can go back over and make it even darker. It's really dark on this side, isn't it? See, I'm almost using the brush like I did the pencil to do the cross hatching. But I'm also going to soften this edge again. Okay, that's not bad. What else we got here? Oh, I wonder, just throw this in a little bit. Yeah, lighter. Okay, I'm going to put an accent here and I'm going to quit. Right down here is really, really dark. Remember we did the accent in the value study. And this is very dark. And this is pretty dark. So I'm going to darken this a little bit again. No, I'm done. Thank you. The shading back there, make it more very darker right there. It's darker right there. Oh, soften it, soften. It's much softer there. Yes, thank you, Dr. Okay, softening that. So that's the trick, to get this soft, but not, I mean, there's definitely an edge there. But maybe we can lift this off just a little bit here and soften it just a little bit. That's about the best we can do without losing our, without making a bloom. That's it. I think that's what I had intended to do.